the napkin folded into perfect thirds. Wine glasses aligned. My mother's voice was steady, clinical, like she was canceling a subscription. "We regret raising you, Elise." No shouting. No tears. Just words dropped onto white linen like ashes. Around the table, forks kept moving, salad greens crunching between teeth. My father's eyes stayed fixed on his plate. My sister scrolled her phone beneath the tablecloth. No one flinched. This wasn't the first time I'd been erased, but it was the first time they'd said it out loud in a room that cost $200 a head. What they didn't know was that 12 hours earlier, my net worth had gone public after a quiet acquisition, a number big enough to rewrite every assumption they'd ever made about me. I sat there, knife balanced on porcelain, and realized the silence I'd been building for years was about to become the loudest thing they'd ever heard. Welcome to Revenge with Precious, where we share real stories of betrayal, resilience, and the courage to stand up for yourself. These are tales of people who refused to stay silent, who drew boundaries when love turned toxic, and who chose their peace over family obligation. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, these stories are for you. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that might change how you see your own life. Please, watch till the end. Let's get started. The steak arrived medium rare, blood pooling under rosemary sprigs. My mother dabbed her lips with the cloth napkin, her pearl earrings catching the amber light from the Edison bulbs overhead. She set down her fork with a soft clink, the kind of sound that demands attention without asking for it. "Elise," she said, her tone even measured. "We regret raising you." The words hung in the air like smoke. My father didn't look up. My sister Victoria smirked into her wine glass, pretending to hide it. Across the table, my younger brother Callum shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. The couple at the next table laughed about something trivial. A server passed with a tray of desserts. I felt my chest tighten, but I didn't move. My hands stayed folded in my lap. I'd learned years ago that reacting only gave them ammunition. Instead, I looked at the steak on my plate, the way the juices bled into the mashed potatoes, staining everything pink. "We've tried," she continued, as if she were reviewing a failed business investment. "But you've become selfish, distant, cold." My father finally spoke, his voice low and tired. "Your mother's right, Elise. Family means sacrifice. You've forgotten that." I swallowed. Not because I was hurt. I'd stopped being hurt years ago. I swallowed because I was calculating how much longer I'd have to sit there before I could leave without making a scene. My name is Elise Winters. I grew up in a house where being invisible was easier than being seen. We lived in a modest suburb outside Portland, the kind of place where everyone mowed their lawns on Saturdays and waved from driveways. From the outside, we looked normal. Inside, I learned early that love had conditions. I was the middle child. Victoria was older, confident, the one who got the good camera angles in family photos. Callum was younger, softer, the one who needed protection. I was the one who stayed quiet, who didn't ask for much, who learned to solve my own problems because no one checked if I had any. When I was 8, I fell off my bike and scraped my knee so badly I could see bone. My mother pressed a paper towel against it and told me to stop crying. "You're tough," she said. "You'll be fine." When Victoria got a splinter a week later, my mother spent an hour with tweezers and antiseptic, cooing softly. I learned then that some people were worth fussing over. I wasn't one of them. By the time I was 12, I understood my role. I was the responsible one. The one who didn't need help. The one who could be counted on but never celebrated. The first time they asked for money, I was 19. I just started my first real job at a tech startup, making $42,000 a year. It felt like a fortune. I rented a studio apartment with peeling wallpaper and a radiator that clanged at night, but it was mine. My father called on a Tuesday evening. "Elise, we need a favor." The word favor always meant money. Victoria's tuition payment is due, and we're a little short this month. Could you help us out? Just $800. We'll pay you back. I hesitated. $800 was 2 weeks of groceries and my electric bill. But he sounded tired, and I wanted to be the kind of daughter who helped. So I transferred the money that night. No one said thank you. No one paid me back. 3 months later, my mother called. Callum needs new soccer equipment. Can you send $300? I did. 6 months after that, it was my father's car repairs. Then Victoria's sorority fees. Then my mother's dental work. Each time, I sent the money. Each time, I told myself it was temporary. That this was what families did. That eventually, they'd notice I was struggling too. They never did. By the time I was 25, I'd become the family's silent ATM. They never asked how I was. They asked if I could help out. The family group chat only lit up when someone needed something. Can you talk? Was code for we need money. Quick question meant, this will cost you. I learned to read between the lines. I learned to say yes before they finished asking because saying no meant being frozen out for weeks. Guilt wrapped around every request like barbed wire, the kind that cuts deeper the more you struggle against it. Victoria got married. I sent $2,000 for her honeymoon. My mother posted photos of them in Bali, hashtags about blessed families and gratitude. I wasn't tagged. Callum's girlfriend got pregnant. I paid for the baby shower. No one invited me. My father's business struggled. I covered 3 months of rent for their storefront. He told people he'd figured it out on his own. I stopped expecting acknowledgement. I just kept giving because it was easier than fighting. Because somewhere deep down, I still believed that if I gave enough, they'd finally see me. At 28, I started my own consulting firm. Nothing flashy. Just me, a laptop, and clients who needed digital strategy. I worked 16-hour days, lived off instant ramen, and slept 4 hours a night. My apartment stayed small. My car stayed old. I didn't buy new clothes or take vacations. But the business grew. Quietly. Steadily. My family noticed the long hours. They called me obsessed. You're always working, my mother said during one of our rare phone calls. You're missing out on life. What she meant was, you're missing out on us. But I kept going. I landed bigger clients. Hired a small team. Moved into a slightly nicer apartment with windows that didn't rattle in the wind. I bought a car that didn't break down every other month. When my mother saw it, she frowned. That seems excessive. Who are you trying to impress? I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was just trying to breathe. On my 30th birthday, I treated myself to dinner alone at a quiet bistro downtown. No one called. No one texted. I ate linguine and drank Pinot Grigio and told myself I was fine. I wasn't fine. But I was learning how to be. The call came at 2:47 a.m. on a Thursday. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, pulling me from a dreamless sleep. I grabbed it, heart pounding. Elise. My mother's voice was sharp, urgent. Callum's been in an accident. He's in the hospital. We need you to take out a loan. I sat up, blinking in the darkness. Is he okay? He's stable. But the insurance won't cover everything. We need $15,000 for the surgery. I rubbed my eyes. Mom, I can't take out a loan right now. I'm in the middle of. We don't have time for your excuses, Elise. Her voice turned cold. This is your brother. If you can't help your own family, then what kind of person are you? I felt the familiar weight settle onto my chest. The guilt. The obligation. The unspoken rule that my life mattered less than theirs. I'll see what I can do, I said quietly. You'll see. She laughed, bitter and sharp. You'll see. Unbelievable. The line went dead. I sat in the dark, staring at the phone. My savings account had $22,000. My business had just secured a major contract. Taking out a loan would put everything at risk. But it was Callum. I called the bank the next morning. I was denied. My debt-to-income ratio was too high. When I told my mother, she didn't speak to me for 3 months. Overnight, I disappeared. The family group chat went silent. No birthday texts. No holiday calls. My mother updated Facebook with smiling photos of Victoria, Callum, and my father at Sunday brunch. I wasn't in any of them. I tried calling once. My father picked up, his voice flat. Your mother doesn't want to talk to you right now. When will she? I asked. I don't know, Elise. You hurt her. I hung up. Weeks turned into months. I threw myself into work. My firm landed 3 major clients. Revenue doubled. I hired 2 more employees. I moved into a condo with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the Willamette River. I stopped checking the family group chat. I stopped waiting for apologies that would never come. For the first time in my life, I felt light. 6 months later, an email appeared in my inbox. Subject: dinner? Elise, it's been too long. Let's catch up. Saturday at 7? Bella Notte. Our treat. It was signed by my mother. I stared at the screen for a long time. Part of me wanted to delete it. Part of me wanted to believe things had changed. I replied, "I'll be there." Saturday came. I wore a simple black dress and drove to the restaurant, my hands tight on the wheel. Bella Notte was upscale, the kind of place with soft jazz and waiters who refilled water glasses without being asked. When I arrived, my family was already seated. My mother waved, smiling. My father stood to hug me, awkward and brief. Victoria kissed my cheek. Callum nodded. "You look good," my mother said, eyeing my dress. "New?" "Yeah," I said. "Must be nice," she murmured. I sat down. The conversation flowed around me, light and shallow. No one asked about my work. No one asked how I'd been. They talked about Victoria's promotion, Callum's new apartment, my father's golf game. I smiled. I nodded. I sipped my water. Then the check came. The waiter set the leather folder on the table. My father glanced at it, then at me. My mother adjusted her napkin. Victoria checked her phone. No one moved. I reached for my purse, pulled out my card, and handed it to the waiter. "I'll take care of it." My mother smiled. "You're so generous, Elise." The words felt hollow. When the waiter returned, I signed the receipt. My mother leaned back in her chair, her expression softening in a way that felt rehearsed. "Elise," she said, her voice calm, almost gentle. "We need to talk." I looked at her. "Your father and I have been thinking. And we've come to a difficult conclusion." She paused, folding her hands. "We regret raising you." The restaurant hummed around us. A couple laughed at the bar. A waiter poured wine 2 tables over. "You've become selfish," she continued. "Cold. Distant. You only think about yourself." My father nodded. Victoria looked away. Callum stared at his plate. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just stood, picked up my purse, and walked out. Behind me, I heard my mother's voice, soft and satisfied. "She'll come around." I drove home in silence, the city lights blurring past. My phone buzzed once, twice. I ignored it. When I got back to my condo, I poured a glass of wine and sat by the window, staring at the river below. My reflection stared back at me, pale and tired. Then my phone lit up. A notification from my lawyer. Press release went live. Acquisition finalized. Check your email. I opened my inbox. The subject line read, "Tech acquisition shakes market. Founder Elise Winter's net worth revealed at $12.4 million. I stared at the screen. It wasn't supposed to go public. The acquisition was supposed to be quiet, buried in legal paperwork and NDAs. But someone leaked it. And now, my name, my face, and my net worth were splashed across business news sites. I scrolled through the article. Photos of me at conferences. Quotes from clients. A breakdown of my company's valuation. My phone buzzed again. Then again. Then again. 12 missed calls. 15 texts. I didn't open any of them. The next morning, my voicemail was full. "Elise, it's Victoria. Call me back. It's important." "Elise, this is your father. We need to talk. Please." "Elise, your mother is very upset. Call us." "Why didn't you tell us? We're family." I listened to each one, my face blank. Then I deleted them all. I brewed coffee, sat at my desk, and opened my laptop. Emails flooded my inbox. Reporters. Old acquaintances. Distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. "Congratulations. So proud of you. Can we catch up?" I closed the laptop. My phone rang. My mother. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. Finally, I answered. Elise. Her voice was tight, strained. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you what? I asked calmly. About the money. About the company. We had no idea. You never asked. Silence. We need to talk, she said. This changes things. Does it? I asked. Of course it does. Your family. I hung up. A week later, I applied for a home loan under my new holding company. It was routine. My credit was excellent. My income was verified. But the application got flagged. The loan officer called. Ms. Winters, there's an issue. It appears there's a charity registered under your social security number. Were you aware of that? I frowned. No. I never opened a charity. It's been active for 6 years. We'll need to verify before we can proceed. I hung up and called my lawyer. 2 days later, she sent me a file. Inside was documentation for Winters Family Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit registered in Oregon. My name was listed as the founder. My social security number was on every form. I'd never seen any of it before. My lawyer's voice was steady on the phone. This is fraud, Elise. Someone used your identity to create this. We need to report it. Who registered it? I asked. She paused. The address listed is your parents' home. I hired a private compliance auditor. Within 3 days, she had everything. The charity had been funneling money for tax credits. Donations listed under my name. Write-offs claimed on my father's business taxes. Fake receipts. Forged signatures. My name had been used to shelter their income for years. The auditor handed me a folder. This is clean fraud. The paper trail leads back to your father's accountant. If you report this, the IRS will investigate. I stared at the documents. My signature, copied and pasted onto dozens of forms. My social security number used over and over. What do you want to do? She asked. I closed the folder. Nothing. Yet. I spent the next 2 weeks quietly dismantling everything. I moved my company to Delaware. Opened new business accounts in banks my family had never heard of. Froze old personal accounts. Removed my family as beneficiaries on every policy. I didn't tell anyone. I just moved in silence, erasing every financial thread that connected us. Then I sent a single email to the IRS. Attached was every document my auditor had found. I didn't sign it. I didn't need to. The paper spoke for me. 3 weeks later, my father called. His voice was sharp, panicked. Did you say something to someone? About what? I asked. The IRS. They're auditing us. They're asking about some charity. Do you know anything about this? I paused. No, I don't. Elise, if you did something. I didn't, I said calmly. But if there's a problem, maybe you should talk to your accountant. He hung up. The audit moved slowly. Letters were sent. Documents were requested. My father hired a lawyer. I watched from a distance, silent. My mother posted Bible verses on Facebook. Blessed are those who are persecuted. The truth will set you free. No one liked them. 2 months later, I received a certified letter. Inside was a formal disownment notice, signed by both my parents. Effective immediately, we sever all ties with Elise Winters. She is no longer considered part of this family. I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. It would be useful later. Another dinner invitation arrived. This time, extended family would be there. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Let's talk things through, my mother wrote. No hard feelings. I accepted. The restaurant was the same. Bella Notte. Same soft jazz. Same amber lighting. I arrived on time. The table was full. My mother, father, Victoria, Callum. My Aunt Bryn. My Uncle Foster. My cousin Dexter. They all looked at me when I sat down. Elise, my mother said warmly. We're so glad you came. I nodded. Drinks were ordered. Small talk flowed. Then my cousin Dexter pulled out his phone. Did you guys see this article about Elise? He asked, grinning. The table went quiet. He turned the screen toward my mother. It says she's worth over 12 million. My mother's smile froze. My father blinked. Victoria's face went pale. Is that true? My aunt asked, eyes wide. I sipped my water. It's public record. My mother laughed, nervous. Well, we always knew you were capable. My father nodded quickly. We've always believed in you. I set down my glass. You disowned me 6 weeks ago. Silence. I stood, pulled a business card from my purse, set it on the table. If you need anything in the future, contact my attorney. I turned to leave. Elise, wait, my mother said, her voice cracking. I didn't. I walked out into the cool night air. My car was parked under a street lamp. I sat inside for a moment, hands on the wheel, breathing. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Please. Let's talk. I deleted it. I moved to the coast 3 months later. A small house overlooking the ocean. No neighbors. No noise. Every morning, I walked along the beach. The waves were steady. The air was clean. No one called. No one texted. My inbox stayed quiet. I don't think about them much anymore. Sometimes I see their names pop up online. My mother still posts Bible verses. Victoria still shares photos of brunch. But I don't click. I sit on my porch at sunrise, coffee in hand, and listen to the ocean. The silence isn't empty. It's full. Full of peace. Full of freedom. Full of everything I built without them. And for the first time in my life, I don't need their approval to feel whole. I just needed to stop asking for it. Thank you for watching this story. If moments like these resonate with you, if you've ever had to choose yourself over people who couldn't see you, then you're not alone. We share stories like this every single day, real accounts of people who found their voice, set their boundaries, and walked into the life they deserved. Subscribe so you never miss the next upload, and share your own story in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. I love you all.